You made it 3 seconds of moderator.
All right, you've probably seen a million of presentations like this, and usually it starts with some kind of origin story. And frankly, unless it's a Wolverine, I'm not that interested in origin stories. So basically, I think they all end up the same, don't they, guys? That it's my uncle played me Dark Side of the Moon or something, and I was hooked forever, or something similar. If you've got something that's radically different, speak up, but otherwise we're going to cruise on in.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I knew is that I wanted to listen to music, and some people like motorcycles, I like speakers. I can't put a finger on why, but every time I go into a furniture store, I would just look at all the speakers. So it's innate, it's born into me, I guess.
Actually, my father worked for Nobody Beats the Wiz. Remember them? Who remembers them?
Dude.
Yeah. So he got to complain about the first Bose cubes. He's like, they don't sound very good. And that was the end of Nobody Beats the Wiz. So there you go.
I just like what everybody would consider horrible music. They don't even let me play what I like in most rooms, but I just, you gotta like what you like. So that's how I don't know that I have an origin story, but yeah.
Well, moving on, I want to ask each of you, all of you, however we phrase that, why did you start doing this, and how do you think you were qualified or not qualified to do it? Did you just feel like you had something to say and never saw a niche, or whatever?
I got that. So, first of all, I'm not qualified. Everybody else is qualified. I'm not the smartest guy, I'm not the most talented guy, but I bought some, Zeos is like, yeah, he's not. I bought,
Disagreeing with the rule.
it was a Moonlight Sim Audio, and it was a pair of Kef Ellis 50s. And I had saved up money and I bought it and I turned it on, and I'm like, this is it? And so I got mad and turned the camera around and started talking about affordable audio. Because I actually want people to come into the hobby. I don't want to gatekeep the hobby. And so nobody was talking about inexpensive or cheap audio, with the exception of Z. I mean, Z was talking about.
I was poor. I was very poor.
That's the reason why too, because everything initially I had to buy. So, and I had to figure a way out to make 3 videos. If I bought one product, I need to figure out how to make 3 videos about this product.
So that was relatively recent.
Yeah, it was 3 years ago. 3.5 years ago, yeah.
You're a newbie.
Yeah.
Steven's been around a while.
I, for the longest time, for like 9 years, I used a Sennheiser headphone. I started with headphones. I think everyone who doesn't have the money to go speakers or the space to go speakers starts with headphones. For the longest time, I used a Sennheiser headphone. And then I went to that man's apartment like 13 years ago, and he showed me the Brainwaves HM5s, which was like a $130 Chinese headphone that I'm like, wait, headphones get better than what I was using? I didn't think it was possible.
I thought that this was going to turn into a Jeffrey Dahmer story.
Oh, no. I don't know. I can't make a joke. It's fine. But it's definitely a fake it till you make it sort of thing.
Or you keep on faking it.
I mean, that's it. But I mean, I've reviewed 350 headphones and I think 160 pairs of speakers or something. Yeah. And it's like, even if I didn't know a clue when I started,
that's right.
As long as you constantly went into that mist, and then by now it's like, oh yeah, I know everything that's going to go on with everything.
And that's the thing, it's like, I'm not a reviewer, I am not the expert. And this is what I did. I listened to a speaker, I listened to another speaker, and I talk about the differences. And that's it. I have my own preference. It's not going to be your preference. It's not going to be the right speaker for everybody. I'm never going to say that this speaker is better than the other speaker. I'm just going to talk about how they sound and what the difference is. And if you do it that way, you don't really need to be qualified.
What'd you do? Kill someone?
Golly, that's true. Lenny, you kind of went a different path here because you've been operating as a retailer and now are apparently morphing yourself into
the
God
crazy
knows
knows
what.
Is anybody like that? I feel like that's what people know me as. Is that what people know me as? This is where you guys respond.
Yeah.
Okay. So how I got into this is I enjoy telling you stories about different companies and their products. Does anybody enjoy the documentary stories?
The blog. Love the blog.
Love the blog. We do the record store tours. So my take on how we do this, I am not, nor have I ever been, nor will I ever be a reviewer. Any of the products you will see in my videos, well, before, we would be, maybe stuff we sell, but never am I reviewing how they sound or going into specs. I actually banned the word specs from my channel. I want to tell the story of the experiences with products, the experiences in shopping at record stores, the experiences in the documentaries and companies that you all may know and love over time. And that's the approach I take. It's not how do these sound or how are they compared to other things. I want you to get the experience, and going forward you're going to see a lot of that, of what the experience would be like if you bought a product, whatever that might be, and what the experience would be like if you traveled around to different places in the country and went to maybe another vintage hi-fi store or another hi-fi store or a record store. So I want you to experience that through me the best I can and give you all those documentaries that you want.
So how are you changing your deal? I got the impression that this was going elsewhere. Crazy Lenny.
Well, Crazy Lenny is...
Crazy Lenny's would be a great store name.
Is here to stay. It would be a good store name if I ever opened a store. You never know. So, I just want you guys to know, there's going to be some really cool stuff going forward that you're not going to see in any other channel, because I don't do what any other channel does. We like to have fun, a lot of fun. I will do everything I can not to be a talking head. I don't think we have any of them here, actually. You're all first person, right?
I don't know, it was 10 years without showing my face.
Dude,
so.
that is sick.
It is, but then you go places and people start recognizing you by your hands, and that's real weird.
That reminds me of
No joke, like somebody at one of these shows, I think it was New York, saw my hands and I was whispering to someone, who's like, "Are you Zeos?" And I'm like,
Oh, gosh.
"Oh God."
That reminds me of that Friends episode with Joey
That's
Costan's
creepy. That's a creeper. So I am obviously old enough that I got started in the hi-fi mags, and some years ago we started going into podcasts or whatever, and strange heads start popping up in video, as you can see here, and at every inflection point there's resistance from somebody. The journalists, the people in the print mags, the online reviews, still have some resentment of you guys, and I can give you quotes.
Good. I second what he said.
I agree. But clearly you're reaching bigger audiences or different audiences than the other media were.
Well, I don't think we need to be. It's not that we win and they lose, or they win and we lose. I mean, it's different, right?
Right.
Why not? We can all get along. I mean, it's the thing about it is like when I was reading, Stereo Review as a kid, that's the only place that I had access to information.
Yeah.
Now, literally, any idiot with one of these can start making a video, and if they're good, they'll get an audience. And I would challenge the print magazines, if they have 12, 20 writers on staff, each one of those people needs to turn this around and start making content. If anybody has a position to where they could just crush it with content creation, it would be the traditional print magazines.
Well, you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, a lot of the, let's say, older reviewers like me have a face made for radio.
Oh, come on.
So,
I mean, even if you're writing your own personal blog posts about things and keeping it out of the published channels, one of the things that drove me to make my own videos is I didn't like anybody else's. No offense if I've watched your other videos, but it's just like, I feel like no one was giving the heart and soul of a thing. They were just reading the specs and saying the same 120 keywords every time, and it was over. I'm like, no one's talking about the excitement, especially if I feel like the older group was sort of trapped behind text. It's very hard to emote in a text, unless you're adding emojis, and that's not going to be great in stereophile. So like getting out there and just like whipping your hands around and speaking passionately about something, and music should only be spoken about passionately, which is the real root of everything that this whole show is about, I would hope. Right. We all hope, and we know it's probably a 50-50 at this point. But music should be something you can only discuss with your ears, if that makes sense. If you're doing a book review, maybe you could write that into text and that would be fine. But getting out there and talking about how music is delivered to you, which is what I think that's part of my job, is I try to help you find the best way to get music to you from right in front of you. So that's really the path that I try to stay on, is try just get it from A to B with as much love as they're gonna have in the future with whatever they're doing. I'm not just here to tell you, hey, this speaker is good because. I'm here to tell you this speaker is good because it did this to me on this song, and then I cried. So it sort of is in there.
That could be tricky. You guys still read print? Is that a thing? This guy? Cool, man. Who watches videos? There you go. So I'm a firm believer that the more the video community does, the more people that get involved in this, the better it is for everybody. Because we need to evolve this space and get to more people. And we need to get more people into hi-fi. Because I don't know if you've ever went up to someone that's not part of this group of people. I ran into a friend at the grocery store that I haven't seen for 10 years. It's like, what do you do? I'm a YouTuber now, I do stuff on hi-fi. And do you know what he said to me?
They still make that?
What's that? And that's the problem, guys. So by staying in the tunnel, nobody else is gonna ever know. So one of my goals is to get out there and get more people involved and get it, this community out to more people. And I think, Randy made a really good point. If everybody that was publishing these magazines just did videos, it puts a face to the print. It gives more people access to them,
Not only that, but they have a staff. I mean, Z is a solo creator. I am a solo creator, right?
I'm also now a solo
They
creator.
have a staff. They have employees. They have people that are getting paid. Everybody is getting paid. You make a video, and I'm here to tell you, if you make 1,000 videos, the 1,000th video is going to be better than your first video. And people got to get over it, get over the fear, and make content. And if we want to save this hobby, if we want to expand the hobby, it's not going to be in print. And I'm not saying print's bad. I love print magazines. I still read it. But I'm telling you, if we're going to grow this hobby and we're going to bring in a newer generation, it ain't going to be in print magazines.
That brings up an interesting point, or at least I think it's an interesting point. I hear hi-fi referred to as a hobby a lot. And I've probably been in the business long enough that I'm a little jaded about that, so that it's useful for me to see relative newbies, or the people who are propagandizing it, so to speak, look at it from a new perspective and bring newbies on, because to me it's what I've done for too many years, really, and it to me it's always been there, and I've always been active in it, and oh well. And in my case, it was my uncle's hi-fi. So,
and I think it's definitely about getting, everybody's love of music. So here's another interesting point. Who here has $100,000 plus hi-fi system? Who here has a pair of AirPods? There you go.
They're away from
And everybody that didn't raise their hand just has another brand. They're not called AirPods, because you all do it. But everybody loves music, no matter how you get that, how you accomplish that, and that really needs to be the goal. here is to get all the music out to people in whatever form that they want, whether it's, you know, something that's cheap, whether it's something that's headphone related, or whether it's something vintage. Whatever that might be, like that's what it's about, because everybody has something, you know, that they're proud of and that they like and that they have a story behind, you know, whether it's, you know, the cheapest stereo around or whether it's the most expensive thing. It doesn't matter. And I think that's where we need to go with it.
But getting back to the hobby thing, there's a big leap between, oh, I like listening to music, and oh, I diddle with gear obsessively. And I think all too often we go at this with, they want to lure people into diddle with gear obsessively rather than listen to and enjoy music. So how do you differentiate, or do you, or?
I don't, because my audience are gearheads. My audience are gearheads that enjoy music. I'm a gearhead.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I wanted to start a channel, is because I enjoy the amplifiers, I enjoy the speakers, I enjoy the process of getting new things in. I mean, it all comes back to the music, but I use this in titles because it gets clicks. Endgame speaker, giant killer, the best, blah, blah, blah. But the point is like, none of it matters, but it all matters. And if we're into cars, we like to watch car videos because, now don't get me wrong, we could love driving, and we probably do, but I think they both coexist. And I know my audience, and my audience likes gear, and they also like music. There's a pendulum that swings. Some people just like to buy new stuff, and that's their hobby, is to buy new stuff. Some people are more into the music, but usually it's right around the middle.
Anybody?
Yeah. So we're talking about hobbies. I think no one should have just one hobby. That's a problem, and you should fix that. No matter what the other hobby is, keep your wallet away from just one thing, because you'll go too far. Have 3, 4, 5 hobbies. Even if it's only something you do like on a Thursday for an hour, make that your stamp collecting hobby. Because if you'll obsess over things, and I think one of the things that grows this industry in the wrong direction is the obsessives. I apologize if you're an obsessive. But like my goal has always been to get people to understand how exciting it can be sort of in the middle, but you got to get them into the hobby in the first place. People will just be like, they'll set their speakers up on a bookshelf. I'm like, well, it's always free to move your speakers around. Like you take it off and move it to this, or move it up, or turn it. That's the thing you got to encourage. You got to encourage a little bit of gear fiddling, just to get it better than it was. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to spend money for it. I've always said, if you could offer me $25,000 speaker cables or a book of matches just to tilt a speaker a little bit, I think the book of matches under the speaker, just tilting it just so, might make more of an improvement. Most definitely will make more of an improvement than changing your cables from $200 to $10,000. So it's about telling people they could have all this fun tweaking things and doing things without spending gobs of money. And that's the only way you're going to get the new generation in, is if they can get in almost for free or relatively cheap. And then once you're in it, and once you understand, okay, this does this and this does this, hopefully you find a stopping point before you end up the Maxell guy, putting on your cassette and your hair's blowing back and you have you refinanced your home 6 times and your wife left you and oh my God, stop before that. But it's okay to play around in the cheap stuff. Buy used audio gear, buy vintage stuff. Just enjoy what you're doing before you start spending your entire life savings on it. And then you'll know if that's the little hobby you want to focus on, besides the other 4, which I do recommend, like cooking is great, do that.
You should definitely cook, if not, you're the star. So I think the one thing that you guys do really well is you kind of do the fiddling for everyone. So you're getting new gear, you're playing around with your fiddling, and because think about it, like you guys probably aren't going to go out and buy something new every week and take it back just to try it, and some of you might, I don't know, I'm not judging, but one of our jobs is to give you that experience of getting something new every day or every other day or once a week, whatever it is, and letting you experience it through us. And that's really what our job is. I mean, that's what we do. You know, yes, it's about music and stuff, but we want to give you that experience of something maybe you can't get, or maybe you don't want to get right now, or just, oh, you saw something new or read something new, or like, I wonder what that's really like. Well, the only way you're going to know, might be to watch us, and that's kind of, I think, a goal for us, is to give you that experience.
Well, I think our other job is people that are in this room are passionate. Obviously, some people booked flights and drove here, they bought tickets to be here. And it's a very small niche, and a very strange niche that we have, but people enjoy it. And it's not transactional. Most people, if they're new, they'll find me because they're interested in a product. But at the end of the day, people watch my channel because they like to talk about hi-fi stuff. They like to see hi-fi stuff. And they, hopefully, sometimes I make them laugh. And it's fun.
Intentionally?
Intentionally or not intentionally. But that's the thing, is like, people watch car videos. It doesn't mean they only watch a car video because they're interested in buying that car. They just like the culture. And that's what we really have. We have a culture, not a hobby. We have a hi-fi culture.
I'd like to go to one of the things
That is the worst business.
one of the complaints that I frequently see about magazines is all they do is review really expensive stuff that nobody can afford. I've always argued that when you read Road and Track, you're not necessarily going to look at the econo-meter. There's different audiences that are, some people are looking for guidance in just starting out. That's where you guys come in. And then there are the people who go, well, I had the $400,000 Wilsons, and now I'm moving up to the $750,000 ones.
Or moving down to the $1,000 Reiewers.
Right.
Because there's a guy in here who had a bunch of expensive gear. He's got, a very modest system now, and he says he enjoys it more now than ever.
Well, I can understand that. But my point, if I'm getting at one, is we talk about the hobby or culture as though it's homogenized, and it ain't. There are
That's a
starting
big
point.
word, and I'm sorry, I don't understand what that means.
Do what?
Do you want to explain homogen?
Go ahead.
All I heard was babbling, I'm sorry. But
That's all I heard.
anyway, it's not homogenized. It's more like there are strata. You get in here with your $300 gear, and then maybe this will do this is better or whatever. And I was director of marketing at AudioGum years ago, so I'm well acquainted with the gear flippers, and that's kind of a subculture in itself. But I like dealing with what I refer to as normals. And they're not necessarily obsessive audiophiles, obsessive tweakers, whatever. They're people who have stereo gear in their home one way or another because they like listening to music. And going back to entering what I did back in the 70s, there was the class of doctors, lawyers, whatever, who had the high-buck Macintosh, JBLs, whatever. And I think along the way that class of buyers kind of vanished. And I blame Harry Pearson for a lot of that, and the term golden ear. And I can't tell you how many times I've done demos through the years, and people say, oh, I doubt if I could even hear the difference. Well, bullshit. You'll hear the difference, and they always do. So what's the first step you take in trying to lure somebody into seeing if there is a difference, or hearing the things they've never heard before?
In person, it's kind of easy, because in person you can say, hey, listen to this. Sit them down in your chair and be like, listen, you know this, give me a song you know, now hear it here. And that'll usually sort them out. It's much harder to do remotely over the internet, through a YouTube video, to try to convince somebody that there's a difference. But if enough people, And you don't want to, you said lure, and it's kind of luring, but it just sort of like intrigued them enough to try, just to test the water. It's like, okay, I think it's all bullshit, but I'll spend $40 on a COS KPH 40 headphone, and it'll probably be boring, and then it comes and it's not. You need that one thing, which is, I think a lot of the problems with these shows is you go into all these rooms and there are all these companies and they have $100,000 things, and that's, obviously there's a market for it. But there's not enough of these companies that have said, you know what, we need to start the seeds. Like you with PS Audio, and the Sprout 1 was a $600 DAC amp combo from a company that usually makes $30,000 amplifiers. So that would have been a wonderful way to be like, all right, I'm not really into this high-end stuff, but I can afford this if I save up and buy it, and it will get them started. If every room here had something that was under $1,000 that anybody could, save up a little money and buy, this hobby would explode.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I think there needs to be a section of Axpona that is dedicated to only products that are under $1,000. And I think collectively we all want to grow the industry. I mean, we've got to be shouting it from the rooftops, because the harsh reality is that my audience is 30 to 60 years old. And in 10 years, some of that meaty part of people that watch my videos are maybe not going to be watching videos anymore. And they sure as heck probably aren't going to be buying a lot more equipment. And 10 years later, if we don't bring people in, and we're going to bring people in at the affordable level, this hobby is going to kind of go down, 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 and down. And it's our responsibility to be stewards of this hobby. And as he put it, they ain't coming in, they're not coming in at $1,000 amp. They may come in at $100 amp. They may come in at a $200 amp. But we have a responsibility if we want this hobby to continue and to grow. And that's it.
I think as much as this is going to be the most controversial thing said ever at an Axpona, I think Beats helped. Beats started as cheap, but then they made like the $200 Beats and the $300 Beats, and people would desire that. They're not audiophile in the slightest, but it got people into the mental mindset of, oh, I could spend $300 on one audio gear piece, and while it gave you street cred, at least got you in the mindset of maybe there's something else for $300, maybe another brand that I could. The problem is that the only brands that are attacking the mass populace are the ones that are available in Best Buy and Circuit City, if that was a thing. It's not. Amazon, like they're buying the cheap stuff from brands that are willing to put it there. And I think more brands need to be willing to put stuff down there.
And then that's all they know, right? So they don't know about the high-end stuff at all.
Bose.
But, Bose.
My mother knows Bose.
I bet your mother may have watched my Bose Exposed video.
No.
No, probably not. But we need to get into that mindset, because most people don't know about 98% of the stuff that's here. Okay, like when you go to, that's why I bring up AirPods all the time. So like I go to these audio shows, first off, nobody ever lets me listen to songs I want to listen to. I don't know about you guys, but if I have to hear half these songs one more time, and there's only like 5 of them, I'm gonna lose my mind. Diana Krall. If I had Tom, when we had a room in Tampa, brought a Diana Krall CD up to me against my specific instructions. That CD ended up in half being thrown across the room. But, I think that, and they're afraid. They're afraid to play, I'm going to call it regular music, on their systems. Yeah. And I don't know why. Like, I was at another audio show. I went up in a room. They were having streaming problems, because everybody knows with the audio show, streaming problems exist. Okay? I told the guy, I would like to listen to your system. I don't care if you got a Bluetooth to it. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to hear the music I loved.
I was at Munich, which I'll be at next month, which, yay, let's go to Munich. And I wanted to hear a song on this pair of speakers. And it was a self-powered that had Bluetooth in it. And he refused to let me Bluetooth to the speakers, because he was deathly afraid that, even though this is a speaker that has this functionality and he should want to test it, He wouldn't let me play something over Bluetooth. He goes, oh, it's not the best. We don't want to do it the best.
That's the worst possible answer. Like, a lot of times I'll go to these shows, and because I can't listen to what I listen to, my favorite equipment at a show is either my AirPods or my Meta sunglasses that play music, because I can listen to whatever I want. And that's what makes it sound good to me. You could have the absolute bestest in the world, and if they're playing that Diana Krall CD,
Right.
I'm out.
Well, there's a couple angles to that. I've worked for a manufacturer who we argued for years over who could play what in the room. And his argument was people come and go in the room. If somebody comes in and Megadeth is playing and it's a shitty recording, they're going to think it's the fault of the system.
I guess there's just need more risk takers in this business.
Well, there is that, yes.
Because you know what? I brought this up to someone last night, and they told me that exact same answer.
Of course.
Yeah, I think, how are we going to get new people in if they're not interested in music that's being played in that room? I mean, I want to listen to NXS. I want to listen to Nirvana. And I think one of the companies that does a great job of this is Cambridge. You go up to Cambridge Audio and they're playing fun music, stuff that
This is so true.
That's not the Eagles Unplugged Hotel California. How many times have you heard that?
I literally waited a second before we left the room, so I could get ready for this. I will say, last year at this Axpona, they had the dolly set up in the lobby over there. And I went down and heard it, it was fine. And then I was upstairs, 7 floors up, and I come out of the room from whatever it was, and I hear Eminem blasting on that system. And it was like a refresher, like, oh, music that I like that isn't here is playing somewhere.
I'm going to make this story even better.
Go ahead.
The person that put Eminem on that system was me.
That was awesome.
This is a true story.
That's a moment. A moment
just
happened.
I was at the Florida Audio Expo, and I got a chance to...
Thank you for putting Eminem on that.
Well, so TAD let me drive the ship, and so I got to play Korn, I got to play Guns N' Roses. I'm telling you what, you play November Rain on a $500,000 system, sounds pretty good. But that's the thing that we need is like, because you make an audio file, as Z put it, when someone's heard a song 100 times, 500 times, and then they hear extra.
Right.
And as soon as they hear extra, they're like, I have heard this song so many times. I've never heard it that way. That's an audio file.
It's, when I was a little kid, I had one of those little pocket AM radios, really dating myself here. And the first time that I heard Beatles songs on a real system, the first thing I thought was, wow, Paul McCartney is really a good bassist, because they never heard it on the little radio. And there are those moments. I have a friend who is a manufacturer who says the fat old guy like myself, who has a $500,000 system, 5 records, and a single chair in the middle of the room, is pretty much the capsule history of what's wrong with the business. And I tend to agree. It's the things that I like are, a lot of European manufacturers are still more geared to having family involvement, listening to music or enjoying music together. And that's what I want to see. I mean, I've played my kids' music through big boy systems, and that's, it's a different deal. And there's no point in doing any of this, as far as I'm concerned, if nobody's having any fun.
It might be a little young, but I was at the, there was a demo room for Orchard Audio has set up in New Jersey. You can go visit, you could request it. And I was there, I was helping host the show, and his wife and daughter showed up, and his daughter's like 5 years old.
Yeah.
And I had brought a set of speakers from Acoustics in, so it was a $6,000 pair of speakers on her daddy's $3,000 amp. And we asked her what she wanted to play, so she took the iPad and she put in like My Little Pony or something. And she heard My Little Pony, and she was like, this sounds amazing. And that was like, I don't think, that might be too young. We might be starting her off a little bit too high on the pedestal, but you know what?
My granddaughter's 5, I get it.
you know, when she's 12 or something, she's probably gonna have like a $30,000 system in her room. Daddy, 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 yeah, please, I want this. But it's getting, I don't know if we could get people into this hobby at like 18. I feel like that, you know, enjoy your life at 18. Don't come here. But 23, 24, 25, you're through college, you're living on your own, you know what music you like. That's when the hobbies actually start. You get into it. So it's not hard to figure out what people in that age group like. The internet exists, statistics exist, there's spy cameras in everyone's home. You can find out what people are playing on Spotify and just integrate that into the show. You know, have a popular music Mondays or something. It's so easy to do, and we just need to do more of it. So
You mentioned the entry-level products, or I always hear the entry-level products, and an argument I've had for a decade now is what most people in the hi-fi industry consider an entry-level product is $1,500.
Yeah, people are completely disconnected
And
from the actual.
I've always argued, you know, that's like 4 tiers up.
I mean, even in headphones, because I have focused more on headphones. I'll have my chat, like my patrons chat. I'll be like, I don't want to stay in mid-fi forever. And I look and I have no idea what they mean, because there's, you know, lo-fi or your entry, then mid-fi, then hi-fi. And to some people, hi-fi doesn't start till like $5,000 or up.
Price does not equal performance.
There you go.
Price does not equal performance, and the reason why is I know some manufacturers that will do 3x multiplier on their cost. I know another manufacturer that'll do a 10x multiplier on their cost. So price does not equal performance, and it sure as heck does not equal happiness. And the thing about, like, one of the reasons why my channel started is because I saw it over and over again. They were talking about the ELAC debut reference, and I heard it from multiple creators. This is a great entry level, this is a great entry to hi-fi or to being an audiophile, and it pissed me off so bad. I'm like, if I'm $600, and if I'm like, that was aspirational for me, and I was interested in that hobby. It's sure as heck aspirational for most people, and it's the same thing about cameras. People say, I want to get a good camera for $500, and so people have got to smash that paradigm that entry level is $1,500, because it's not. What we have to ask actual people. Now, our sample size cannot be this building because we are already into the hobby. Our sample size needs to be actual people that aren't into the hobby.
$100.
I agree. $100.
Edifier, self-powered, MR4s, I think they are. Like, they get 130, they go on sale for 99. You buy those, you listen to them, you go, oh, this is okay. And then from there, you got to get them there.
A lot of people I know, when they find out what I do and everything, and they're like, oh, I got a turntable, and you know what it always is? It's always a Crosley. Or one of those things, because that is what the majority, like, has anybody out here owned a Crosley product at all ever? Okay, at least one hand went up, we're being honest, 2 hands, okay, right. So, I mean, I have, not just like my everyday friends and whatnot, but like I know a lot of musicians that like travel the world, and they could buy literally whatever they want. And they'll be like, hey, I just built a hi-fi system in my house. They send me a picture, and it's a Crosley. But you know what? They like it because they like the look of it. Maybe it's like some cool, retro-looking suitcase thing or something. That's what matters to them.
There you go.
And you can get that at, when they hear $500 or $1,000, they're like, whoa, people are spending that much on, like, reality is $100, like, to a lot of people, no matter what the product is. Once you hit $100, unless it's got, AirPods, $300 or $400 or whatever, or a Bose product, I'm paying for that name.
People will pay for portable Bluetooth speakers, like the JBLs, the big boom boxes ones. They will pay a couple $100 for those, but they won't translate that in their heads to some other system that they can't travel with or can't have fun with their friends with. And that's another thing we should probably touch on is people can get into this hobby on their own, alone. But it's so much more fun if you're getting in with someone else. So it's like, you kind of want to, when I started, I certainly was showing everyone I knew and trying to get them to come along this journey with me. And the ones who did hopefully still have some money left to spend on things. But this isn't something like anyone here who hasn't tried to get someone they know or a friend or a coworker into audio, you're not doing your job. Music is everyone likes music. I don't think there's a sect of people who is like, music, don't listen to it at all, turn it off. That's not a thing.
Who here likes Metallica? How many people are going to get to hear Metallica today?
I try to make it happen everywhere.
I'm going to guess it's in the Just Shelly.
He's got the Just Shelly shit.
Yeah.
He's gonna,
if you don't
it's
have,
just
if
gonna be
you're
funny.
not like this guy with the phone, this guy with the lanyard, or that guy with the T-shirt, you got to go up and get that swag at Just Shelly because it's sick. But anyway, you're probably not going to hear Metallica today. And I didn't even look this way, but I'm guessing at least one of you raised your hand because you got a Metallica shirt.
I did.
You
Although I don't know my Lars already. Screw that guy.
But I can guarantee, I am never going to get to hear Blink-182 today because that's just how I have to live with myself. And I can't listen to anything else.
Yeah. There's always, really every field there is snobbery. And there's going to be the Porsche guys who look down at the Subi guys. There's going to be the Nikon guys who go, you're using an iPhone. There's always this kind of crap. And it was really embedded in the hi-fi business. Some years ago when the iPod first came out, there was a very famous New York dealer who, if you walked in with an iPod and wanted to hear it, he would, "Get out!" Which is not exactly welcome.
Notice how he says there was a dealer?
Sorry?
Was.
And
Is he still?
He's actually still around.
Damn.
Okay, well, I guess he conformed to the norm.
No happy ending to
He's
this.
not doing as well as he did in the Greed is Good days, but, he's around. And I actually, at Rocky Mountain Audio Fest some years ago, we had a panel on the future of audio. And I said, and this got quoted in a lot of places, the next time I hear some fat old fuck like me say that the iPod is ruining the hi-fi business, I'm going to smack him in the face because he's not recognizing the greatest marketing opportunity this business has ever had. And then, of course, we've gotten into streaming now, and while the artists are getting screwed, it's a great thing for people who want to listen to music.
I would almost take an opposite standpoint. I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Okay.
So at this point,
I thought Lenny was the devil.
so you can walk into Target and you can buy some type of camera, you can buy a podcast mic, and you can start a radio station for $200, $150 at Target. So if you're good and you can record a song now in your room on GarageBand. You take GarageBand.
Yeah.
You play it, put your thing, and then you can put it online, right? No time has there ever been an easy. The barrier of entry to create content, whether it be a podcast or a YouTube channel or your own music, has never been greater. And you can get that music on Spotify. And if it's good and you do a good job of marketing, you no longer need an agent, you no longer need any of that. And so while it has diluted and people do get screwed and there's sharing, things like that are going to work themselves out. But if you are talented and you're good, yet don't have to do what you had to do 20, 30, 40 years ago to be able to be successful. And going back to getting people into this hobby, I don't know what I was going to say.
Good. That's right.
Well, there's always.
Anybody can do this, right?
If you don't like
Oh, I know what I was going to say real quick. So people got mad. In the first year I was at Axpona, people looked at, there's a guy, and it didn't happen often, there's a guy, and he's like, oh, you're just cheap on you. I would argue that over the 42 million views I've got, that I've been better for high-end audio than any magazine out there, because I've brought people into the hobby. Some will stop and be happy with their semi-affordable or cheap system. Most will continue on the journey, and they'll end up buying more expensive stuff.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And that's the whole, what's the threshold level, what's the entry level thing? And you recognize that it is not $1,500, they're $2,000 or whatever most of the manufacturers I know say it is.
Yeah, it's bringing people in is obviously the main goal. And what was your main point of that? You were talking about streaming. I'm still waiting for Spotify or Tidal or any of these companies to put a button in that just hits random on the entire library.
Dude, Spotify has a shorts thing where you can type in a genre of music, like pick like punk rock. So I'm putting in punk rock because that's who I am. And they will feed you shorts of different songs in music video vertical format of all new bands. And it is the greatest freaking thing ever. So I know everybody wants to use Qobuz and Tidal or whatever the heck you guys are using. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care what the quality is.
Well, I hate YouTube Shorts, so I probably won't like Spotify.
Oh, you'll like the Spotify shorts.
So wait, does it just cut the song off, like halfway? Or
Yeah,
like-
it does like I think it lets it play, but it puts the music video on repeat. But it's sick, like you can just, I don't like that song, swipe.
Does it have to have a video, or can you be like some guy in the garage just playing and you get to experience
No,
it?
you can't do that. It has to be on.
See, I'm interested more in, I want to sort Spotify by least viewed. I want to find the things that no one's listening to, because that, and I could put on the new AI DJ, which we could talk about AI for about 3 more hours. We're going to get the real deep stuff. But I just want to find things.
Spotify has the AI DJ, right?
It does.
But it doesn't feed you stuff, for sure.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I want to know the band that just signed up for Spotify 3 days ago, and here's their song, because no one's going to find it.
Yeah.
Like you were just saying that's, if you market it properly. What if you can't market it properly, but you're great? I still want to find that. I still want to be able to sort by newest things uploaded to Spotify, and every day there's 100,000. I can't even imagine how many new tracks are uploaded to Spotify every day. I want to hear just those.
If there is a platform that does that, it's Spotify. Spotify.
I've looked and asked.
Like I mean, from like a perspective of a streaming service that's as close to what you want, what you're asking for, Spotify's there. So I am a 100% Spotify guy. I use nothing else because on Spotify.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm going to rope this in a little bit rather than focus just on
This is
Spotify.
sponsored by one of those other brands, right?
Yeah, well,
Okay. Sorry, guys.
So-
we signed up for.
So what you've kind of brought up is, okay, there's a zillion hi-fi websites or chat rooms or forums or whatever,
I only know that you do.
but there are 20 million zillion music pages on the internet. So I think the whole marketing business is completely changed, because just as with getting products reviewed, you get the record or cut or whatever in front of a half a dozen bloggers, and it starts there. So, where was I going with this? What I was going to say is, don't get into music too much, because there's a gazillion other people out there doing it. So, stick to the gear, guys.
We can make better music. Right now, we're starting a band.
Great.
Oh, we both went.
My mic's not even on, but we were moving with the
All right, we were headed towards the end here, and what, I'll ask the three of you, what have we not discussed that you think is significant, important, whatever?
What do you guys want to know? Do you guys have questions?
He's got
I only want the most interesting ones.
So, this really is for Randy.
Wait a minute, let me come down there with the mic and you come up to the front, but we got like 10 minutes.
Did you have your coffee this morning, Randy?
Say again?
Did you have your coffee this morning?
I did, but not enough.
But you eat your breakfast. You have breakfast?
Whiskey.
Whiskey's a good breakfast.
Let's try to be succinct as possible, please. I'm not directing that towards you.
I don't know what succinct means. That's the word I didn't get.
Oh yeah, I
From the
don't.
bottle. So my question is, I had to do that. You know, in the end, I've listened to you, watched you for a year now, and what I struggle with is getting a sense of value.
Yeah.
And I think you try, but one day it's this, the next day it's that.
Yeah.
The third day it's, it would be really nice if you had some place where I could see all of the things you've reviewed,
Yeah.
your relative opinion about them, et cetera. And I realize it's your opinion,
Yeah.
you know, et cetera. But, and then it would be really interesting, periodically, if your peers would get together and discuss
Tier lists.
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Getting multiple opinions across, like this kind of.
Yeah, but
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, my opinion is not. Listen, the only thing that I do is entertain and inform, and that's it. And what I like is not going to be right for everybody. But you're right. I should have the problem here. The biggest problem is 3.5 years ago, I had listened to a dozen speakers. Today, I listen to hundreds of speakers, and things continue to get better. And I don't want to be like, oh, this. I mean, I do videos where I'm like, these are my top 10 favorite speakers, and what has gone off, and what is new.
I agree, but if you had that posted somewhere,
Yeah,
so somebody could reference it.
yeah. I'll start accepting resumes for unpaid interns. Yeah.
We're moving on here.
All right.
Put together a playlist.
Another question for Randy. I just want to say thank you for bringing me into the hobby. 2 years ago I had COVID and I was at my room and I needed to listen to music and I found your video about the Aima T9. It's still there. So my question for you is, you put a lot of content out there every day, almost every day on YouTube when you have something. Can you talk about your workflow, how you manage to put so much out there?
Oh, my workflow?
See, you get your video and then what?
Yeah, so I usually have a few things going at the same time, but I think people need to understand that I'm completely obsessive, and I wouldn't say compulsive, but I work for 14 to 16-hour days. I don't watch television. I don't watch movies. I watched a movie on my birthday, Dune 2, which was fantastic.
Soundtrack.
But I am absolutely obsessed with creating content. And that's what I do. That's what I do for fun. So the process is generally I listen to something or I've had something going in one of my rooms, whether it's my living room. And the interesting thing is you can learn a lot about a speaker by watching movies and dialogue on it. I can almost review a speaker without listening to music on it at all because of how it does the dialogue. But I've got multiple pieces going at the same time for weeks or so. And sometimes if I'm buying a cheap product, I'll unbox it. And some of my content's moved to almost real time, kind of like what Z does with his. So anyway, all right. Thank you. Thank you for watching.
Just to expand on his, yeah, my process is I have to spend my time with the thing, especially a speaker. So I'll watch my TV, my anime with movies on a speaker, and then be like, okay, I've experienced it. And then it's just do. Come on.
So I'll propose this to the entire audience too, is do we listen to live music anymore as well? Are we going out and experiencing those new bands that we can bring into the home?
Yes.
I have a hard time with that. First of all, I'm a little claustrophobic, and secondly, the sound systems frequently suck, and I can't.
I was gonna say that, yeah.
I can't tolerate drunks.
You know, the sound systems at, like, live shows are fantastic. If you went to an acoustic hall and you heard, like, someone playing a Spanish guitar live, great. But listening to someone who set up, you know, a giant line array and it's at 9,000 decibels, it's like, this is live music, but it's really not the best way to listen to music.
I want to do the opposite approach instead. Love the crappy dive bar music, or like a concert in a small, really crappy tight setting. Well, you know the audience will suck, but you're having a great time.
Oh yeah, alcohol as well. So.
All right, we've got just a couple more minutes, and go.
Yep, so this one is kind of off of that first question. You know, as consumers, we all want that ranking list. We just go to the top of the list, buy it, boom, we're done. But my question is about your auditory memory. Like how, when you're trying something out, do you A/B something that's good enough? Do you have to go ABA, ABAC?
I can handle that one.
And can you remember something that you listened to 6 months ago and how that stacks up?
I usually, me personally, I don't want to, being a speaker setup is almost impossible, because unless they're in the exact same or right position, that's not going to happen. So what I do in my head, and I don't know if anyone else can do this, I think only people who review speakers and do hundreds of them, is I try to boil everything down to like an emotional tick. I love this speaker because, short sentence,
Yeah.
And when the next one shows up, if it's got, a little bit blinding treble or something, like, well, it's certainly not this, this, or this, but I remember this speaker that also sort of like gave me this like crazy detail, and I can only compare in my head to that. It'll never be perfect. I've tried to do sound demos, and those are not scientific. Those are more just like trying to give you a perspective that you can go back and just hit play on something. But as far as like A/B comparing, I almost try to give every review its own spotlight. I don't want to, or else every review would be a review and a re-review of the last 27 things I've done, and that's not fair for the product in hand. I could just tell you if I like or hate or am annoyed by something, and then we work off of that.
I'm going to move on to the next question.
Have you ever reviewed a product so bad that you thought you just can't put that online?
Oh, I put it online.
Yes.
But did you put it online anyway?
I put a product online. It was called the Vetter, VETR speakers, and they were a little subwoofer, and it had panel speakers, and they were just a thick piece of carbon fiber with an exciter on the back of it, and it sounded like I was in a fish tank underwater. But they had the coolest marketing and paperwork, and I have a sticker that I got from them, and I put it on my briefcase, and it was garbage.
Gosh, that sounds like you.
So
Dude, it was so bad.
I've actually kind of gone the other way. I just released a video on a Tile amplifier for $42 on a Rockville speaker. And the whole point was to kind of like poke fun and then roast it. So I actually was doing the opposite. Will I do that to a company that is actually trying to build this? How do you know? I'm not going to do it. If it's terrible, I'm probably not going to release the video.
I have one thing to add. I just brought a set of the Bathies, the Focal Bathies to Tacony, and it was the Bluetooth headphone, and they're very nice. They're $700. And when he said these are the greatest Bluetooth speakers, I wrote Bluetooth headphones. I looked him right in the eye and I said no, because on a whim, on a joke, I bought the Dyson Zone headphones, the ones with the air filter. Those are the best Bluetooth headphones.
The one with the mouth thing?
Yeah.
No way.
I bought them for $400, and I was like, I'm gonna buy these. I'm gonna make it an April Fool's joke.
So bad.
They're actually excellent, and so I had to put out a video that I intended to make a joke, and had to try to convince an audience of people that this previously $1,000 vacuum cleaner headphone may be the best Bluetooth headphone in existence.
Now I'm super jealous of you about these.
Shocking note, I think we got time for one more.
Well, Randy, I've been watching you since you started your channel. But this question is for all of you. When you first started out, did you have any inkling or intention to maybe this is basically the way you make a living?
So yes and no, because I mean, again, whatever I'm going to do it intentionally, and I never set out to do this full time. I set out to find out if there was an audience that would resonate with me. So I was going to do 5 videos, and I learned this from Z. Learned from Z and Steve Gutenberg. I saw the guys that had subscribers and they got views, and I saw what they did. So I did that. I was going to put out 4 or 5 videos a week for 3 months. If there was an audience and they launched and I got positive feedback, then I'll keep doing it. And I've always been a firm believer, I put in the work and I leave the rest up to the universe. If it works, it works. If not, it's not. But it worked, and that's what I do now.
Gentlemen, we've got to wrap this up. I thank you all for your rants and your raves, and thank you all for coming.
Yeah, thank you guys for all starting this show with us. I'm sorry, I apologize.
All right, Friday's the best day. We can go home now. We're done.
We're done? Oh,
yeah, this is it. Let's just get out of here.
Everybody here will probably find you. I gotta get one of these cool cameras like you guys.
You're not cool. You're not. This guy's not cool.
I'm not cool. Thank you all.
All right. And again, I want to thank my sponsors. Hold on, wait, I'm trying to around for me. Monacoustics, Hard Audio, and Apos Audio for paying for a part of this, and then the rest of you patrons for doing this.
I got to get a picture with the crew here.
All right, let me shut this off. We'll be back.